Hello everyone and welcome to our October edition of Marlborough Magazine. I'm Dan Ginden.
And I'm Susan Laufer.
Nice to have you back after a month off.
I'm kind of not really talking to you because you went to Kimball's without me.
Yeah.
Really not happy about that.
That was all April and Rob. I had nothing to do with it. They made me go. Made me eat the ice cream and everything.
Fine. I'm getting in on the next time though.
Yes, definitely.
I think we might need to do another story. And
Yeah?
the follow-up.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
That works for me.
Good.
All
Great.
right. Okay.
Well, there's a new way to honor veterans in the city of Marlborough, and it happens once a month.
During World War II, Marlborough City Hall was a transport stop for the Army to take recruits or draftees to their inductions to military service. It was fitting then that the first Sunday Taps Vigil in honor of fallen veterans was held in front of City Hall in what locals hope becomes a community tradition.
We gathered here tonight to pay respect for the fallen men and women who served in all of our wars, to give us our freedom, to be able to be out here tonight to do this. And so this is what we're giving them back in return for what they have done to us, for us.
Bugles Across America, a nationwide organization dedicated to honoring United States veterans through the playing of taps at funerals and vigils, originated in 2000 in Illinois. In August, Marlborough joined a growing legion of communities to institute the Bugles Across America Sunday Taps Vigil. Dave Toma is a relocated Midwesterner who brought the idea here.
When I moved out here, I started asking around if anybody ever heard of this Bugles Across America, and nobody had ever heard about it. So I thought, well, they're going to. My main goal is that I would like to see every city and town in Middlesex County to participate in this ceremony on the first Sunday of every month, and then see if it'll snowball into the other counties that are surrounding Middlesex.
The first Sunday Taps Vigil in Marlborough was held in front of City Hall, but future vigils will rotate between the 5 veterans monuments on Main Street. The vigils last about 10 minutes.
I think it's pretty exciting, and the veterans are certainly deserving of this. So it's a good idea. I've marked it down in my calendar for every first Sunday of the month. I don't want to miss it.
I think it's a wonderful idea. And the reason I came, one of the reasons, is because I was in the Marine Corps, and I live in Southborough, and I'd like to really bring it into my town.
For Toma, it's important to set aside time to honor America's veterans on a consistent basis.
We do have our certain days of the year, Veterans Day and Flag Day, and a couple of memorial holidays and stuff like this. But, you know, them people just didn't take 1 day or 2 days out of the year to do what they did for us. So they did it every minute of their life when they were over there. So therefore I figure that we owe it to them. And we must never forget these people, what they did for us. And that's probably my only way of thinking about this.
To learn more about the Bugles Across America Sunday Taps Vigils in Marlborough, call the AMVETS Post 1980 at 508-481-9625.
In September, Marlborough held its 54th annual Labor Day Parade.
Labor Day Parade is an event that's surrounded by history and traditions. One of those traditions is the selection of the Grand Marshal of the parade.
Of course, we're doing what you love to do best, be interviewed, right?
Yeah. Oh, we're. I can't believe how many people read the papers or watch cable.
Yeah,
Everybody's talking to me. You know, you're a marshal, stuff like that.
yeah. Did this come as a real big surprise to you when George asked you?
Yeah, because it was an abnormal time. I'm in bed. It's 9 o'clock at night, Friday night, you know, and he calls me up, and I thought he was drunk. Okay.
But he didn't turn out to be drunk, and he
No.
was serious.
He asked me if I would.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I said, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the next day you wake up, you say, what did I say? Right?
Well, now that you've woken up and you found out George wasn't drunk, how does it make you feel to be named the Grand Marshal for the 2005 Labor Day Parade?
It makes me feel good, because at least, you know, when they think about you when you're alive and not to think about you when you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, all these people, they have big time for, oh, he was a great guy, and we're going to name this after him and stuff like that. No, it's good to do things while you're alive.
Yeah. What does the Labor Day Parade mean to you?
Well, first of all, I'm out there at 9 o'clock in the morning with the police, and I check every vendor for the weights and measures.
Right.
With the cop, we go to every guy that sells a novelty or whatever and check see if they have a state license.
Uh-huh.
So that there is about 9, about 11 o'clock. I'm done, and I walk up to Lincoln Street, and I walk with the people.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a parade kind of guy, and I've been after the Assabet now for the past 5 or 6 years about having a little bigger band.
Yeah.
But you know, it'll come pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, give us a little bit of your past. When did you move to Marlborough? Because you're not originally from here, correct?
No, I was born and brought up in Worcester. Moved here. We started our business here in 1957 and moved here in 1960. 3 years later, we had to be here. And we got involved right away. It wasn't that I didn't know anybody here, because we had relations that lived here. So we got involved right away. I met Louis Galoni, and every time he needed something, he would hustle me for some kind of a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Say, and that's when we started doing all these things.
Yeah. So you've been loving your time here in Marlborough?
Not bad. Yeah. You know, it's been over 47 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's been so important to you to do so many volunteer projects, to be involved with the community as much as you have been?
Well, take the Boys Club. It was Boys Club then. It wasn't Boys and Girls Club. I went to Boys Club when I was a kid in Worcester. I can remember my father taking me up to the Lincoln Square Boys Club, and it cost $0.25 to join. And, you know, and I'd walk up there every day after school.
Yeah.
See, and it was great. So when I came here, I met the people at the Boys Club, and I got involved with them because I think my kids, I have 2 boys. They didn't do that much with the Boys Club, but they were involved with other things. But that was a big thing, the Boys Club.
Marlborough's always been known as a tight-knit community. When someone needs help, it seems that there's always someone like yourself or a Bobby Kays that jumps up and says, okay, I'm here to help. Is there any kind of message you want to give out to those who may have just moved into Marlborough recently in the past couple of years and they want to get involved but they haven't yet?
Well, you have to be involved with the community. You have to be involved with the chamber. You have to be involved with the Rotary. You have to be involved with a lot of things. You just can't go along and say, I'm going to be in business and not know anybody.
Yeah.
They have to know you.
Right.
I mean, they don't have to come to you, because I don't fix everybody's in the cities to repair their cars. It's that at least they know you.
Yeah.
See?
Right.
And there are people that we repair their cars.
Yeah.
See, I got involved with Rotary. I was president in 72, 73.
Yeah.
And I never thought I could do it because, you know, it's every week.
Yeah.
But it just gets to be, you go to lunch, you talk to your friends, and you chatter, back to work 1:30. So when someone tells me I don't have the time, I don't really believe that. Because he's got to have lunch every day. I have lunch every day.
Yeah.
Does whether it's at Rotary or whether it's at Jake's or whether it's somewhere I have lunch.
Yeah.
Sully's.
Are you coming up with any good one-liners to be shouting out while you're being driven in the parade as Grand Marshal? Because the people know that you've got something to say, so
well,
coming up with anything?
Yeah, but that's I can't say too much. That's all I can say is, and you know why Italians have short necks.
Why is that?
Okay? So that's it. What do I know?
All right, Joe, well, congratulations on being
Thank you.
named the Grand Marshal for this year's parade, and thanks for talking to us.
Okay.
Sticking with the parade theme, did you know that groups come from all over the country to be in Marlborough's Labor Day Parade?
That's right, because the parade is one of a kind. And here's Jack Gracie with a look at the long and exciting history of the Labor Day Parade.
When the first Labor Day Parade was held in Marlborough in 1952, the city was uniquely positioned to take a parade and make it its own. The American Legion Drum and Bugle Corps, located in Marlborough, had sowed the seeds of pride in musical accomplishment by winning state and national championships.
It's just natural that they turned and thought of a parade. Let's get some bands, let's get some music, let's get people singing and dancing again. And they did. 1952 was a very difficult time in the city of Marlborough. Our shoe factories were closing. People had come back from World War II, still looking to find employment, while at the same time factories were closing. So we obviously ended up with a very high unemployment rate. At the same time, the Korean War was in progress, and Marlborough boys were dying regularly, and the wounded were coming home, and the spirits of the city were very low. Mayor Gadbois decided everybody needed a morale booster. This was a working class town back then. I think it still is. And Labor Day was an important day to them, and so it was decided that Labor Day would be our day of celebration, and we would have a big end of summer fun fest.
The parade was the brainchild of then Recreation Director Lou Galoni. The son of the former business manager for the Drum and Bugle Corps, parades seemed to be in his blood.
I grew up as a parade junkie because every weekend I'd be in the backseat of the car waiting to go to a parade or a drum corps competition. So when I became Recreation Director through the mayor's funding, I proposed to him that we have a parade. And of course he was familiar with the drum corps being here. And he said, if you think you can do it, let's go for it. But it took a lot of courage for him to get the money up, a lot of true grit, so to speak, to get the money up, because there were people constantly fighting any new proposal, and this was a new proposal. So we went for it.
Immediately, the parade was a hit. Every year, the parade and its response grew, and it wasn't long before Marlborough had made a musical name for itself again.
The reputation of the city really expanded and grew all across the state. Everybody knew Marlborough as a result of the parade.
In 1960, Marlborough celebrated the 300th anniversary of its founding as a town. So all efforts that year went into making a special tercentennial parade instead of the accustomed Labor Day parade.
The Tercentennial Parade was in June, and we didn't have a Labor Day parade that Labor Day, but we had a 3-day festival. In the following 2 years, we figured that we couldn't get any better than the 300th anniversary, and we didn't want to go downhill. So for 2 years, we had 3- and 4-day festivals.
But by 1963, the Labor Day parade was back, and by 1972, had 54 musical units and was just shy of 4 hours long. Today's parade has 24 units and runs about 2 hours.
Into the 70s, the parade still was an excellent take. We had several of our own local drum and bugle corps bands that were participating. And toward the end of the 70s, these units all began to fade. And several factors came into play. One was the fact that rock and roll was taking hold. Kids' interests were developing differently. Everybody wanted to be a guitarist. Our schools, due to Proposition 2.5, schools all over the state began to decrease or eliminate their music programs, which basically eliminated the foundation of music in the state. And as a result, units began to just disappear. So it became much, much harder to find good, solid units for the parade.
In 1977, after 26 years at the helm of the Labor Day Parade, Lou Galoni stepped down. Then Mayor Kelleher decided to put the administration of the parade into the hands of a committee. In 1981, George Wapham was asked by the mayor's office to take the reins. Wapham has seen the parade through the 80s, 90s, and up to today. He is the one who instituted the use of themes. The 2005 theme is Favorite Traditions. Over the past 54 years, there have been many favorite acts, from the large bands of the 50s and 60s to the newer multicultural groups and novelty acts. The position of Grand Marshal of the Labor Day Parade has risen in prominence in the town and reads like a list of who's who in the community. All Grand Marshals are chosen for the commitment and service they've given to the city over the years. Originally intended to boost Marlborough's spirits and to get them singing and dancing again, the parade has kept us singing and dancing for the past 54 years and has itself become one of our favorite traditions.
It took a little while, but the Assabet River Rail Trail is now open for business.
The biking and hiking trail that runs through many of the surrounding cities and towns recently had its grand opening.
1, 2, 3, go!
After years of preparation, the ribbon was finally cut, making way for bikers and walkers alike on the Assabet River Rail Trail. There was much to be excited about with all the different activities available throughout the day. Bike decorating, local art displays, food and music were all a part of the festivities. Residents of Marlborough and neighboring Hudson were finally able to see what people like director Tom Kelleher had envisioned all along.
The grand opening today is the completion of the first 5 miles of what will eventually be a 12-mile trail. And it's a state mass highway project with local, federal, and state contributions. Based on the people we saw here today, you can tell it's very popular. It's got people in the evening, daytime.
Design took a very, very long time. There were a series of public hearings to make sure the public was involved in the design process. And they certainly continue to hold their monthly volunteer meetings, which got more input out into the community and received input back from the community. So it was quite a community process.
One of the many focal points on the trail was the addition of a vintage railroad caboose.
The Boston and Maine caboose, which was a caboose that used to run on this railroad tracks back 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and it was donated by the owners of the Edaville Railroad.
This old caboose is of the age and genre of the cabooses that would have traveled on this rail line.
A large number of contributors were on hand to speak their thoughts about the long-awaited project, including Mayor Dennis Hunt.
What an event, a beautiful day. We got 5.8 miles open now that the people in Marlborough and Hudson can enjoy. We had a wonderful crowd and just walking and biking, and what an asset to our community. So.
We've been waiting for this day forever, and to have it finally happen is just thrilling to me. I just want to thank everybody who supported the idea that we finally are here and that we're able to ride on it. It's just a really wonderful trail. I hope everybody enjoys it for years to come. It's a real huge asset to the city of Marlborough. And
Bicyclists galore here today, and I hope folks will come down and enjoy this beautiful new rail trail that we have and enjoy for the entire community for generations to come.
I'm proud, as we all are, to stand here in front of the rail trail today. With this ceremony, we mark the fact that we have all realized a common dream together and blazed a new trail. Not only a beautiful path that links our communities, but a new trail that shows just what we can accomplish when we are committed to that dream and work together to make it happen.
Overall, the events of the day went smoothly, capped off with a ribbon-cutting ceremony and the presentation of a gold rail that lay across the border of Hudson and Marlborough. For Marlborough Magazine, I'm Rob O'Keefe.
October in Marlborough always brings about the fall season and the Horatio Alger Street Fair.
Now, you may be asking yourself, who is Horatio Alger? Well, we're glad you asked. In 1832, Olive Alger gave birth to a son in Revere, Massachusetts. The child would be given the name Horatio Alger Jr., named after his father, who was a Unitarian clergyman, twice elected to the Massachusetts legislature. Horatio would begin studying Latin at age 8. It was not a difficult task for a boy who would excel at languages, including Greek, throughout his school career. Horatio Jr. was published in 1845 at the age of 13. The Pictorial National Library, a Boston monthly, paid the young man $2 for some of his poems and a short story. Horatio attended Gates Academy. No longer existing, the two-story building was located on Boston Post Road, now known as Main Street in Marlborough, Massachusetts. Gates Academy stood here on what is now the front lawn of the Walker Building. Since it was not an updated facility, no bathrooms, running water, or electricity, it was replaced by a newer high school in 1860. Not known for being the marrying type, Horatio allowed his father to interfere with his one true chance of taking a wife. In 1849, at age 17, he became engaged to a woman by the name of Patience Stiers. When the Reverend Alger learned of this, he forbid his son to marry. Years later, the young writer would admit he felt badly that he lacked the courage to stand up to his father. Although he became famous and successful, Alger never knew the happiness of being a married man. Horatio continued to succeed in school, graduating from Harvard College, as it was known then, in 1852 at the age of 20. He finished 10th in a class of 62 graduates. Financially, times were difficult in the 1850s, so Alger had to find a way to make money. He took on a teaching job to go along with his writing for 2 Boston newspapers. In 1857, Horatio went back to school. For 3 years, he attended Cambridge Theological School, known today as Harvard Divinity School. In 1864, at age 32, he became a pastor at the Unitarian Church in Brewster, Massachusetts. This became a decision that would not only change his life, but also haunt his reputation, even to this day. He found himself under a cloud of controversy as young boys from the congregation started to complain of Alger's friendliness towards them. Soon, molestation charges were being directed at him, although no legal charges were ever made. So in 1866, Horatio broke away from the career field that his father found to be so prosperous and headed to New York City. While there, Alger found himself seen in a different light. Street urchins found him to be very generous and charitable. They were not the only New Yorkers that caught his attention. Horatio noticed the young boys who sold newspapers and their struggles to survive in the city. Alger became involved in the livelihood of these hard-working young men, and because of that, he was appointed to committees involved with the elimination of crime and other urban problems. Alger then wrote Ragged Dick for The Student and Schoolmate, a children's monthly paper. A publisher from Boston read the story and offered to publish it into book form. The former pastor's writings really took off from there. His books started to come in series like Tattered Tom and Brave and Bold. In his next book, Phil the Fiddler, Horatio Alger found a way to not only entertain people with his writings, but he also made a difference. The book was about southern Italy's boys who were leased to cruel men by their impoverished families to beg for money as musicians. The attention that Alger brought to this abuse helped to free these young Italian lads. Once again, it seemed as though Alger's actions would become historic when in 1874 the state legislature passed the first law for prevention of cruelty to children. Alger kept writing at a pace of about 3 to 5 books a year. He also continued to write poems, the very thing that gave Alger his first break in publishing. Horatio Alger Jr. died in Natick, Massachusetts at his sister's home. His legacy will live on in his writings and his impressive ride to fame. This is Dan Ginden for the Marlborough Magazine. Well, as usual, it looks like everyone had a good time at the Horatio Alger Street Fair, and one of the judges at the Clam Chowder Festival is standing right next to me.
Oh, it was so fabulous. I was so lucky to be able to try all the different kinds of chowders. Fabulous. We're lucky to have all that right here in Marlborough.
Yeah. And apparently because I was there for the ice cream story, they don't think that I'm good enough to be a taste tester for clam chowder.
Listen, leaving me out of the ice cream story was big and will have many repercussions that will be long lasting.
All right, well, I think next year you ought to go with me and not her. For her, Susan Laufer, I'm Dan Ginden. You've been watching Marlborough Magazine. We'll see you next month.